Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It is a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the International Diamond Center Studios, where locations across the state of Florida and right here in Celebration Point in the heart of Gator Nation. They are the only diamond and jewelry partner of the Florida Gators. Today's program will have Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show. We'll have Greg Williams, who is the president of Gator Golf Boosters. He was also my manager, the quarterback manager for many years under Steve Spurrier. He have great stories, good dude, retired at an early age, and is trying to get the golf program headed in the right direction. And not a whole lot going on in the world other than Major League Baseball. So let's get straight to it. And we're joined now by Buddy Martin, who's on the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. What's up, buddy?
Good to be with you again, Shane. Good show last night. It's a slow season, but this is the time we take to evaluate, to be introspective, look in and see what we see. And traditionally, for old sports writers, there was always a time on July 4th when you look at the halfway point of baseball season to see which teams are going where, so you can see half the season's over. And it's also time to pause, as I said in my column. We're going to get a lot of Wimbledon, then we're going to go right to SEC Media Days, and then it's on. So I think we got 9 Saturdays, and what will be a very much anticipated football season. I cast my lot last night and made some kind of bold predictions. I have good sources that tell me that the quarterback is okay at Florida and will start on time and finish the season. As I said to you, my source, who's highly placed but not connected directly with the University of Florida's team. So we're talking ball, just not as intensely. But I imagine after the 4th of July, Shane, after you invite me to your barbecue, I get to come there and eat all your good food. But I didn't get that invite, just in case you wanted to know. I never got it.
It's in the mail, buddy. It's in the mail.
Okay. So then after that, we'll talk some football and we'll get serious. And then you'll start getting serious. You don't really start even getting serious until about 1st of September, Shane.
Exactly. Gator Josh on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, good morning. Josh from Mississippi is finally glad to be Josh in Florida. Yeah, Josh has moved, and he is now in the great state of Florida, where Alligator Alcatraz opens today. Should be interesting.
What do we think about Alligator Alcatraz?
I think it's awesome. I think it's outstanding. This text here on the I'll read this when JC's on. So, yeah. Well, regardless of what he says, we're going to talk about what we want to talk about. Buddy, all right. So last night on your program, I was thinking about this today after being on your program. Tell everybody your thoughts on what you talked about to me last night, which I disagreed with you. And I'll tell you why I disagree again. But tell everybody what you were referring to last night.
Well, there are 2 points we talked about in depth on the show last night. I had a really good crowd last night on the program. By the way, can I plug it? Buddy Martin Show is at 9 o'clock Monday through Thursday, and sometimes on the weekend when football starts, we'll be having Urban Meyer, by the way, on Wednesday. So we talked about 2 things. I think what you're referring to is the fact that Urban said in his podcast that the 2006 basketball team winning the national championship and him being there with his friend and neighbor Billy Donovan and being invited to the post-game locker room after the championship game was an awesome experience, which impacted him and he in turn used it to motivate his team and turn his program around. And said he got in 9 months, he won his championship. And some of the things he took out of that meeting were things like his Champions Club, etc. So it did have an impact on the program because he was inspired by what Billy's team did. And as we all know, it happened during those great years, two national championships, football, basketball, etc. So that's one thing. The second thing we talked about, we'll put on reserve about the quarterback, DJ Lagway, and the source I have saying he's going to be just fine. So pick your poison. Which one?
Well, my rebuttal to the Urban, basically, I've always said that every coach, regardless of where you coach at whatever level, you set goals to win a title, to win a champ conference, to this, to that, whatever. I basically said we had great coaches in both those sports and we had great players. I mean, that's a fact. But if that was the case, buddy, Ohio State would have won the national championship in basketball this year because they won it in football. It just it's just one of those freak things that happened back in those days, and I don't know if it'll ever happen again, quite honestly.
I think you're missing the point. It doesn't mean you're going to win a national championship. It means it raises the level of competition. And because we've had to talk about this incessantly on my program over the last year or two, these players are around each other all the time now. It's like you were a Jan Hall, but these players in the new facility are around each other. They're fans of each other. They follow each other, women and men, and they love to cheer the success of their fellow athletes. And that it does have an impact on other athletes. I'm not saying that because you won a national championship, your other sports are going to win national championships. I'm saying that it does impact the program when you have a championship team. It inspires others. And Urban confirmed that. And we'll talk about it again on Wednesday on my show, but that's what I'm talking about. And
Well, I agree with that, but we're only looking at what Florida did. It's only happened here. Georgia's had tremendous football teams, and they eat in the same dining halls as the football, basketball, baseball players. They haven't done it. Alabama, with all their tremendous years under Nick Saban, they didn't do it. That's why I believe that it will probably never happen again because you had two Hall of Fame coaches and you had a bunch of Hall of Fame players and some of the best players to ever play, not just at one school, but in the history of the sport in those two sports. That's where I'm going with it because I understand what you're saying. People feed off of it, but if it was that easy, multiple schools would have done it already. Does that
I
make
don't
sense?
think it's easy, and I don't think you necessarily are guaranteed a championship, but it does impact the program other athletes inspire. Look, because Steve Spurrier made a decision back in 1962 to come to Florida and got there. He impacted the program in many ways. They didn't win a championship, but he certainly helped set the bar and came back as the coach and raised the bar to a size point. I'm only saying that I think there is something there in the DNA. The old saying, it must be in the water in Gainesville because these guys are playing so well. So I know that it does seem to me, I'll see what the listeners say. I feel like it does impact the other programs, and especially when your program is down and you're not playing well. So that was the whole point of that. And I'll stick with that until proven otherwise. And we'll see what Urban says again on Wednesday. But he said that championship really got him
Okay.
inspired to
So
win a championship.
playing devil's advocate here, and I'm not arguing. I totally agree that when a sport wins something, it it bleeds into the other sports. That doesn't mean they're going to win anything. Ask Urban why Ohio State didn't win a damn basketball title after he won a national title at Ohio State.
I think you're missing a word here. I think the word is can. It doesn't mean if you a lousy basketball program in baseball that they're going to start winning because the football team won. If they're parallel, if they have the same resources, the opportunities in the athletic pool, then your chances are much improved of getting there faster. That's what I'm seeing, what I'm thinking. So I'm not saying automatically gives you a birthright to go and play in a championship game. So I think it's a positive. Coach Spurrier believes like you do. Well, you said, well, no, you got to go get players. This helps you get players. It helps you attract winners. Winning attracts winners. So that's my view on it. And I know we'll probably not agree on that ever, but that's how I feel about it.
No, and you got to have a lot of luck go your way to win a national title
No
as a
doubt
Gator.
about it. No doubt
A
about it.
lot of luck.
Listen,
Tony,
as you guys, you didn't because you were gone, but the team that you helped set the table for in '96 had to have a lot of things go right because the system was different. Well, the system's not that way now. You can play it down if you get a chance to be in the Final 12. You have a shot here. So we'll see. That's just a common view. I think that many of us do hold that the rising tide raises all ships, and Florida's good ship has been raised by that.
Tony says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. We will find out in Baton Rouge how much the basketball title impacts the football team.
Well, what does he mean? Because they're going to play football in Baton Rouge?
No, because he's saying we'll see, because Baton Rouge is going to be a tough. What isn't that our third game when we after
Yeah,
we
but
play
we're
two?
talking about a whole different situation there. I've already named it the month of scorched earth Saturdays. It's not just that one. It's those four games from game two to game six when they've got to play their top ranked teams. They're not bad enough. They're hosting the number one team likely in the country on October 4th. They got to turn around and travel to Texas A&M, who for some reason has captured the imagination of a lot of people. We keep saying that this program is going to be. I've been hearing that about Texas A&M since Jimbo Fisher tried to do it. Let's see what they can get there finally. But they do have a lot going for them, and we'll see. I think it's. I think Florida's got. Here's the point. I think Florida is in a good position right now. They have the things they need in their inventory to compete. And I said in my column, I said they will be in the hunt for the national championship with a chance to win it. The table is set because you don't get to play for it unless you beat all the good teams, Shane. Well, they're going to play a lot of good teams this year. They'll have a chance coming out of the scorched earth Saturday, especially after that Texas A&M game, to see where they stand. And if they've lost one game, they're sitting in good shape. And I don't think the back half of that schedule is as scary as it used to be because Florida proved last year they could win those games, and they should have beaten Georgia. So that's one thing we know is that they are competitive at a level. And if they can do the same thing they did last year, and what's not to like about this team when the running backs, the offensive line, etc., they are really, really good. And so I give them a good shot. I think it'll be fun to watch, and I think they'll be in the hunt.
Rouge Logan State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. All right, Barone has something for you here, buddy.
All right, bring it.
Brought to you by Quality Plumbing. He says, if a rising tide raises all ships, then why did Florida football sink post-Meyer under Foley's obsession of Title IX and all sports equal era, where Florida saw success everywhere but football?
I don't understand the question.
All right, well.
What you tell me what he said. Barone's a smart guy, but I don't understand that question.
Well, he's saying the other sports had a lot of success once when Urban left, but that didn't feed back into the football program.
I don't buy that. That's not the same thing. Doesn't mean you're guaranteed for a long ride or you get your ticket punched for 25 years. It means you know what inspiration is, Shane. Your team and your teams, and when you play, inspired others. You got that pro football program turned around, and you were responsible for that, and they won the championship in '96, and you had a part in that, even though you weren't on that team. Now, beyond that, what we're saying here is we're looking at this is a theory that winning championships inspires other programs, other sports. Well, we have an example where one guy who won two of them, actually three, counting the one he won at Ohio State, says that it did happen to him, that the other sport and Billy Donovan, they were good buddies. And he did a lot of things. He modeled his program after Donovan, and he was there for the championship. He was inspired by it, and he started his champions program. You know what the champions program was, right?
Well,
Well,
you had to tell me what it was.
yeah, well, it's part of it's in the book, but of course, I know you don't like to read books, but in my book, we talk a lot about how it was that players were divided into two classes, champions and not. If you didn't live up to a certain thing, you didn't get to be in the Champions Club. And over the Champions Club, they ate filet mignon, great food, had great equipment, good workout gear, etc. And over in the non-Champions Club, you had bologna and hot dogs and beans. And that's the culture that Urban created because he wanted to be a privilege to be a champion.
Andy asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. Shane, when you were at UF, did you attend other sporting events like basketball and baseball? Yes, I went to about every one of them.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll never forget when I was I guess I was a true freshman. We were all eating the football team. Well, all the athletes were eating in Yon Hall the night of when LSU came here. Everybody talked about Shaquille this, Shaquille that. I was like, look, there's a guy named Chris Jackson that y'all are going to be blown away with because I had to play against him in high school, and he's dropped 50 something on us in the O'Connell Center.
Yep.
So yeah, I went to
Mahmoud was a great player. I saw him play at Colorado. He was terrific. He was as good a shooter as I ever saw in a game of basketball.
So here, Barone put it. He basically says here for you, buddy.
All right, bring it on.
The point you just made his point. The other sports were very successful, and it meant nothing to the success in football. So anyway,
it work anyway, either way. You know, it doesn't mean that every program's going to win a championship. It means someone has to lead the way, which you guys did in your time. You didn't win a championship, but you inspired others. Anyway,
here's what I will say about the football championships, and I would say the basketball championships. My eyes told me they had the two best coaches. I think Ty Golden's going to be one of the great two. Throw him in there, so three. Well, actually be four. So you got two football coaches, Urban and Coach, and then you have Billy and Ty. But I'll be damned, they had the best players that we've had at those during that tenure as well. So I think it all goes hand in hand.
I think it is hand in hand too. You could throw in their Mouse Holloway and other people too, because they've had fantastic results. Well, anyway, time for another day. You never did respond last night to what my story said about the medical expert I talked to saying that DJ Lagway was going to be funded, given the quality of care he's getting and the physicians and the trainers and the people, the rehab people working on him, that he is going to be you can bet the farm that he's going to be ready to play and he's going to be good. And unless there's an unforeseen injury, meaning another injury, he expects his durability to last throughout the season. And someone says, I said, well, yeah, but he might only be 80%. That wasn't the way it was presented to me at all. Is that what presented to me was he's going to be fine. It could go wrong, but right now, based on what we know at this moment, and you can't know everything at this moment, is that they're going to be good, and he's going to be good, and he's going to be okay. Have you seen any film of him lately? I've seen a little bit video, and it's hard to tell just on video, but it's good news because every single person, and Shane, these guys who write for these magazines, they're all beat reporters for other papers, other people. So it's the same information, just regurgitated and warmed over that you're getting in the magazines. Do you think they know more about DJ Lagway at Phil Steele's magazine than we do? They do not. They don't know any more than we know. And the beat reporters are the ones who know the most. Anyway, that piece of information to me is vital, and I'm going with it. I believe this team is going to be exception and will be in the hunt and have a shot to win the championship. And maybe it did start with Urban and what have you. But the bottom line is, I do believe this program is on the right direction, and I think Billy will. I think he could win 10, Shane. He could win 10. You said the same thing. You ought to
Yeah, you
win
can't.
nine and at the very least the eight, right? So,
Yeah, I mean, there's no guarantee anything with DJ. Look, DJ's got a shoulder problem. That's a fact. He's got great care here under doctors, trainers, rehab people, and all that stuff. He has a shoulder problem. It's going to have to get fixed at some point. Um, he will play. That doesn't mean will he finish the season? He might. He may not. We don't know. We don't know how bad it gets or if it gets worse. It could be another hamstring. You don't know when it comes to that. But he will be ready to play, and they'll go from there. But
well, that's not strong enough for what this medical expert told me.
right, but buddy, I don't care who the medical expert
Yeah, I
is.
know. Well, I know, but you
They
say,
don't. I mean, DJ could fall off the bus and twist his ankle and be out for the year for all we. I mean, we don't know. Is he going to play? Absolutely, he's going to play. I think if you can play, you play. That's just in today's world, a lot of athletes would sit out. But is he going to be 100%? Nobody will convince me he will be 100%. Nobody. I don't care
well,
who the doctor is because if that was the case, he would have been thrown from day one.
I understand what you're saying, Shane. You go to the doctor when you're sick. You go to the doctor and get checkups, don't you? Right?
I mean, not when I'm sick, but if I go like once a
I
year,
know.
yeah.
But when you get your checkup, the doctor says, you're in good shape, Shane. Keep doing what you're doing. Your health is good. Everything is fine. You walk out and say, yeah, but if I get hit by a bus or I could come down with a cardiac arrest or no, you take the projection of what the doctor says. All right. So all we have to go on is what the medics say. Now, they're not talking about him and they aren't going to talk about him. But I did get this information from a great source. I'm confident in it. He's not guaranteeing it. He's simply saying, based on what he knows about this situation, that he's beyond just okay. He's in good shape and he expects him to come out of the box and play the season and be fine and play unencumbered basically the whole season unless he develops another injury. So there's a big difference in the two. And the reason I wanted to get that was I'm a little tired of mamby-pamby conversations from these people say, well, Farm looks pretty good, but, they got this problem with their quarterback. They don't know any of that. They don't have any idea. And so I think it's time to be bold and see what you say and mean what you say. And so that's why we wrote this story about it. Again, I don't say I'm guaranteeing anything. I'm just saying it's good news when a medical expert says he's going to be fine, basically. He's got great care, and there's nothing hidden there that will stop him from. And here's what I'm talking about these projections, all right? Here's the latest in Phil Steele, all right? They're ranking the teams in the SEC. But I realize this is a game they're guessing too. But again, these reporters all come from other beats, from beats on other publications. The latest SEC projections have Phil Steele picking the Gators. You ready for this? Tied for seventh in the SEC with Tennessee and Ole Miss. Big whoop. What does that say? Okay. I mean, that's just a cop out. I don't know. Naturally, they're going to say Georgia and Texas, 1 and 2. I think you got Georgia, Texas, right? 1 and 2 right now. Is that what you
I
said?
got the Texas Longhorns above Georgia.
Yeah. So you believe they're going, yeah, that's what I mean. Texas 1, Georgia 2. But do you think Florida can beat either one of those or both those teams?
Well, yeah, but we're going to be big underdogs to both of them.
I didn't say that. I said you think they can
Well,
beat
I
them.
think I think we can beat everybody on our roster. I
Yeah.
mean, on our schedule.
Yeah.
But I also am a realistic. I try to be a realist. I think Texas has got a chance to be phenomenal this year. They were
They do.
very good last year. I think they're going to be better this year.
They could be. They could be. But let's just wait and see. Like Coach Spurrier said, if if Manning is so great, how come he didn't start last year? You know,
Well, there's a reason
that's
behind
what he
it.
said.
I know, but Coach likes to stir it up, and I disagree with Coach saying that because, you had a veteran guy who was very talented as your starting quarterback. Arch played when he got hurt and played well, but you know, I think Arch Manning is really good. A lot of people don't, only because of where he went to high school, but his two uncles went there and they're pretty damn good. I think he's very good, quite honestly.
There's a really good story on The Athletic by Bruce Feldman, who talks about Manning, Arch, and the fact that Cooper, the one who couldn't play because of the injury eventually, was a terrific wide receiver, did not get influenced that much by his uncles. Now we know his uncles went 0-3 against Florida, although Eli went 2-0. And he said that they hardly saw him play that much. When people talk about the Manning name and who influenced him, that if, I said this last night, his mother was a world-class track athlete, and he gets his speed from his mother, and she was also a great high jumper in New Orleans. That's interesting that he would say that. So I think he's a phenomenal young talent, and I think he'll be. But I think he's also going to be playing in a swamp where he's never played. That's going to be a very interesting October 4th.
Well, he's got to play in Ohio State week 1, so he'll
Yes.
have some experience there.
Yeah.
We got a text here on the Titan of our text line from Brad. He wants to know what our thoughts are on the voting for Caitlin Clark in the NBA, WNBA. Did you see that, buddy?
I see it. I didn't read it. Again, I love Caitlin Clark. I think she's
There's just so much jealousy in that league. It's
there is,
ridiculous.
yeah,
Where
there
she's
is.
the best player, and it's almost comical what's going on in that league. And I
Yeah, I
saw
know what's
today
going
where
on. Yeah, I
they're
agree.
expanding that league in the next few years to more
Three new
teams.
teams
Yeah.
already did 3 new teams, and she's the reason women's basketball has never gotten this well, and the ratings have been phenomenal ever since she played in Iowa. She brought that enthusiasm to the women's NBA, WNBA, and I dare say, not many people cared about the WNBA, and now they do.
Well, they
That's
don't really. They do, but they don't.
well, they're going to be watching because of her.
Yeah. Um, and then we got a text from William on the Titan text line. He goes, I do not understand why so many people around the country have a problem with Arch Manning and don't think he's very talented. I'm not one of them.
I'm not one of them.
I think he's extreme. I think he's more talented than his two uncles.
I think
Way
that's
more
kind of what
talented.
Cooper was saying, sort of in a way, without saying it.
He's way more talented than Eli. He he throws the ball better than both of them. He's stronger, faster, better athlete. Now that doesn't translate into being a better quarterback, but he's better than them in every category.
And like his granddaddy, who was a great athlete, by the way. And
Yes.
Archie was a hell of a runner. He really was. And he had great instincts. And I don't know about his instincts yet. I would imagine they'd be very good. But listen, it's going to be a treat. You said it. I've said it. October 4th is going to be a red letter day. You probably can't buy a ticket to that game if you haven't got it by now. Florida, Texas. That will be a big reason game for a lot of reasons, not the least of which will be Arch coming to the sacred soul of the swamp, but also about because they're going to probably be number one if they beat Ohio State. I think they will. We'll see. And that will be a tremendous day for Florida if they can somehow knock off the Longhorns on their first visit ever to Gainesville.
All right, real quick, We're on 71 has a question for you on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. He says, who did Buddy think would be a better QB out of these guys? Brock Berlin, John Brantley, or Felipe Franks?
Well, I think you mean John Brantley, the player, and not the father. I go back to the father.
No, he's talking about
I
not.
know, I see that now, but
Well,
well,
let's be honest. The son was a lot better than the dad.
yes, no question about it. Yeah, no doubt about it. He was a National Gatorade Player of the Year, so yes, I would say John Brantley. And that's what I thought. And Felipe didn't come into his own until later. So yeah, I'd say John Brantley, the fourth.
He made a mistake. Kerwin, I mean, he should have gone to Texas.
Well, he was committed to him and changed his
I know.
mind.
Oh, and then he, in my opinion, he should have changed his decision because that's when Coach, if I'm not mistaken, Coach took over at South Carolina. He should have gone to play for him at South Carolina. He would have been the perfect
I agree.
quarterback in his system.
It would have been phenomenal playing for Spurrier, without a doubt. I agree with you.
Yep. Yep. All right, buddy. Good stuff. Who you got on the program tonight?
Well, it's Lauren Stein, Lauren Meadows, and Lowdown with Lauren. He'll be there with Rob Brown and the guys. and I'll be back tomorrow on my show, the regular time, with Coach Urban Meyer. Looking forward to that. So have a good evening, good show, Shane, and thanks for the good job last night on our program.
All right, buddy. Have a good day. That's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Quick timeout. Come back. We'll be joined by Greg Williams, president of the Gator Golf Booster, also former Gator football manager with Coach Spurrier there. He'll have some good stories as well. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Cogent Bank, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Meals Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Signs, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. Florida Crackers, the brand for original Floridians. Great food and southern hospitality in the center of the universe, Brooksville, Florida. FloridaCracker.com. Back to the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. He is our president of Gator Golf Boosters, Greg Williams. You've used Comfort Temp, didn't you?
I did, and they did a heck of a job out here.
Yeah,
So,
I sent my man to you and got you a new air conditioner.
yep, I'm a big proponent of Comfort Town.
There we go. We love it. All right, Greg, I wanted to bring you on. Obviously, you were a manager back in my day, quarterback manager for Coach Spurrier. But before we get into that and tell some stories, you are now the president of Gator Golf Boosters for JC Deacon and his squad. And you got a new not proposal, but a new plan out there. We got to raise money. I think I talk about it all the time. John Cornell and I do on this program. For what we have from a golf team standpoint, it's phenomenal how we can compete compared to the other team. It's not people, they think we're crazy, but our golf course, the grass and all that is outstanding, the greens, but the facility needs to be better. But let's just talk about what you're trying to do from the president of the Gator Golf Booster.
Yeah, so just maybe a little quick history on Gator Golf Boosters, right? So it's been around for probably 50 plus years at this point, right? So Chris Limbo was, maybe people will know that name. Chris was the Gator Golf Booster president for the last 6 years. He decided to hang it up in October, and JC asked me, hey, I need you to kind of step in here and take over the reins. So I agreed. Kind of got a new board formed, which you are one of those board members. So, and we got a good board, right? And look, Gator Golf Boosters is its existence revolves around getting contributions from Gator Nation to help the Gator Golf program, right? It's no different than any other sport at Florida at this point, right? It's facilities, it's NIL, right? All of that stuff is being driven in Gator Golf along with the other sports at the University of Florida. So that's what Gator Golf Boosters does. It's a private kind of volunteer nonprofit, right? And we have over 100 members at this point. Again, we're driving new members every year. Chris did a great job with that, and the majority of the money, I think it was 85% last year of the contributions went back to Gator Golf, which is awesome. And so again, there's always, we've got our website out there, GatorGolfBoosters.com. We've got different tier levels that people can donate to, right? We support and run Gator Golf Day, which is again November 21st this year, Tennessee weekend. So there's a lot of opportunity for Gator Nation to give back to Gator Golf, and this is one avenue to do that. And they've done a terrific job, and we support JC and Dudley in every which way we can, whether that's gear, it's they need TrackMans, right? I mean, it's just everything that they need from a program perspective. We help contribute, right? And recently, we just gave a significant amount of money to help do some refurbishment out there on the teeing grounds, right, at Bostic. So it's interesting, kind of looking through this and seeing what JC and Dudley have done out there. And you kind of said it. I mean, 2 years ago in 23, they won the national championship, the SEC championship. This year they won the SEC championship again, and that was with Oklahoma and Texas in the field, right? So it's it's only getting more and more difficult from a competitive landscape standpoint in this conference. And hell, they finished in the Final Four out in California in the national finals. So it's amazing, to your point, of what they've done there. And we're just trying to help kind of drive whatever we can from a contribution standpoint to help them.
We got a text here on the Titan Mark text line from Larry. Larry says, how much does Gator Golf Boosters play into the NIL portion for the golf team?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So, the way that we've had to structure the board, we've had to kind of structure the board in a way that allows Gator Golf Boosters from a private entity standpoint to be able to contribute back to Florida Victorious, which is the NIL arm, right, of the University of Florida. And we can, and we do, and we will help contribute there as well going forward. It was a little bit kind of tricky kind of navigating that. I mean, look, this thing has been all over the board, NIL, right? Trying to figure out what you can and can't do sometimes. But we work very closely with the UAA, Mike Spiegler, who's JC's boss, right? Spiegs is a great guy. He's been around forever. He was here when you and I were here in college. So he's really, really good at kind of helping us navigate what we can and can't do. But yeah, we absolutely do work with Florida Victorious, and we'll continue to do that going forward.
Bob on the Titan MR text line says, yes, I agree. Our facility is way behind the other schools in the SEC. What is the latest on the new golf course?
Yeah, well, I think they probably know just as much as I do at this point in time. So Bob does. But look, I know, it's been reported, over the last couple of weeks that there's, a sale has gone through with some property out, near Hale on Parker Road, right? We'll see what happens there. But yeah, we'll probably get some better updates here in the fall about what the progress is there. But it looks like they're making pretty good progress at this point in time. It's been a long road there, and it's a challenging environment, right? To try to do something like that. And it looks like they're getting their ducks in a row, and they need it. They need it desperately, in my opinion.
Oh, there's no question. David on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says he wants to know how he can get in contact with you. He needs to talk to you about something.
Yeah, so you can reach me in a couple of different ways. My personal email is G as in Greg, S as in Scott, W as in Williams, 1918 @gmail.com. Or you can go to the website. There's a link in there that says, it's info at Gator Boosters, GatorGolfBoosters.com. So you can go to the website and get some contact information. It goes directly to me. So
Andy's question on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. Greg, is Billy Horchel still involved behind the scenes in any capacity with Gator Golf and the Boosters?
Billy's always involved. He's a huge Gator, right? So he's certainly, it's really nice to have Billy involved to any extent. Look, Billy's a busy guy, right? But he is absolutely the biggest Gator fan that I think that's out there. And so, yeah, he's certainly involved, and we want him involved. He's actually battling through a little injury at this point in time. So hopefully he gets back out in the fall and we can see him out in Gator Golf Day. So
whenever Myra wanted to introduce his high quality tequila to the Gator Nation, he made sure to get it to the HBC and his team at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Dorn's Liquors. Go Beyond with smooth Los Landeros tequila. We got Greg Williams, president of Gator Golf Boosters, here on the Titan Number Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. All right, switch gears. We'll get back to golf in just a second. But you were also a student manager for many years when I played, when Coach Spurrier was here with the quarterback. So you were Coach Spurrier's right-hand man. We need some good Coach Spurrier stories.
Good Coach Spurrier stories
that you can tell on air.
Yeah, that I can tell on air. Yeah. So, so I'll give you one. Maybe I got two that I can give you. So one, so everybody knows his visor is legendary. So, you could always tell how well we played, depending on how many grass stains were on his visor after the game. But there's one game, and I think it was, didn't we play Louisville your senior year? Was it Louisville?
Yes.
Yes.
It was like homecoming, I think.
Yeah. And so, in Coach Spurrier, when he threw his visor, he was pretty consistent, right? The angle, all of that, right? And the way it hit the ground. But this particular game, I think his release point was off that day. But when he threw it, it basically flew like a frisbee down the sideline, and I watched it go by me. It must have went probably 15 yards. It went by me, and Tim Sane. Some people don't know that name, Tim Sane. He was kind of the assistant to Bud, Uncle Bud, and then took over after Bud went upstairs. But I kind of looked down the sideline and was flying down the sideline. And Tim Sane, in one kind of motion, grabbed it like a frisbee, stuck it in his back pocket, and just kept it there Coach Spurrier didn't have it for the rest of the game. So it was like third quarter, and he didn't have his visor for the rest of that game. So it was a pretty funny to seeing that visor fly down the sideline. It's unusual.
Well, I was telling everybody when you can touch on this a little bit, but the deflate gate with Tom Brady in the National Football League.
Yeah.
They have no idea how we used to doctor up the footballs under Coach Spurrier.
Yeah. So so it was funny. We had to break them in, right? And you know this, right? During the week, we get new footballs, we break them in, and we used to check in. What did we check in? Like 18, I think is what we checked in, something like that. So we would, so the official would make sure that there was, I think it was 12 pounds of air in them, something like that. And so we would make sure there were 12 pounds of air when we were checking them in. When we when we got them back to the locker room, we kind of let a little bit of air out of them. But everybody did it back then. It was funny because I think it was USC and Lane Kiffin. It was a big like national story a few years ago, and Lane, actually several years ago now, when he was at USC. But everybody did it back then.
They still do it. They still do it. It's the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah, it's the dumbest thing ever. But yeah, so we would let a little, and it was funny because the perfect number for you that you liked was 9 pounds, which it kind of coincides with your number, which was kind of odd. But so that was what we always tried to set it at was 9 pounds. And you really couldn't tell, honestly, that there were some that kind of, during the game that they would go down a little bit. We would get down at one referee. This thing was flat as hell. And the referee said, "What the hell's going on over here?" And threw it back at us and said, "Get this ball out of the game." But we always had a K for the kicking ball. And I know one time we got the kicking ball in accidentally for you, and you were not a happy camper.
That's why you didn't see a lot of receivers that played for Steve Spurrier dropping any balls, because we made it very easy to catch.
A little easier. Yeah, a little easier back then. Yeah.
Asa on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, says, QB, I so enjoy being part of Gator Golf Boosters. Those guys really are dedicated. You know that we are personal friends with John DuBois. I can't pronounce his name right, and his parents. And the good news is he just qualified for the PGA Americas Tour. What is that, Pee Wee?
So it used to be like it wasn't the Hooters Tour, but it was one of the mini tours that are out there. And John's an awesome guy. I was over at Dudley's a few weeks ago before they went out to nationals, and John was there, and just as good a guy as you'll find out there. Pulling hard for John. He's doing a lot of money qualifiers and trying to get out there. But he was a hell of a postseason guy for Florida for a long time.
Barone71 on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, who would the golf team consider their biggest rival?
Wow. Biggest rival. Look, I think it's interesting the way that golf is how they schedule, right? Because the SEC schools you only get together once a year at the SEC championship, right? We're never in an event with Florida State, for instance. Very rare, unless it's in the Nationals, right? Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. We'd have to ask JC that.
Well,
And see.
it is strange because, like, when we played in the SEC tournament this year, I think Florida won it, but we were like ranked sixth because there's so many good teams in the Southeastern Conference ranked ahead of us. Obviously, we don't really play Florida State in the regular season unless it's postseason play.
Yeah.
Golf is a strange sport when it comes to
It
that.
is. It is. And it's, stroke play versus match play. I'm a big match play fan of college golf when I get into that because it's more head to head. But I think if you ask JC, it may be probably Auburn would be my guess. And that's Buddy's volunteer coach there. Buddy used to coach here, right? So it's a good little friendly rivalry there. And Auburn's good. Damn good.
Yes, they are for sure. All right, so let's recap. If people want to join Gator Golf Boosters, they can go to the website. Give us the name of the website one more time.
Yes, GatorGolfBoosters.com. And you can go on there. And if you've got any questions on there, again, you can kind of reach out to me. There's multiple emails through Contact Us on the website. They all go to me. So I can answer any questions that you have. And it's, we encourage everybody if they can. And there's, literally there's custom giving. You can give as little as, $25 if you wanted to, right? There's different tiers, and we have some great gift packages that we give to our members, right? Thanks to some of the stuff that you're able to do, and we've got a really good board right now. You're on it, Will McClave, Pat Bates, former Gator golfer, right? Connor Richardson, Michael Samaha. So yeah, we've got a really good crew over there, and it's dedicated to getting our booster club is big and robust as we can.
Here's a good question that just came in on the Titan MR text line from Jimmy. He says, Greg, being a former student manager, how many games do you get back to, and do you go to like practice and deal with the student managers?
So yeah, I mean, look, I moved back up to Gainesville about 6 years ago. I lived in Tampa for years and years, as you know, and so I got back up here. So I actually literally live right near Mark Bostic Golf Course, and so I have a golf cart that I drive all around. I'm a big sporting guy. I love competition. I love watching kids compete, and so I go to pretty much every sporting event that I can. I go to every football game. It's I've got some good friends of mine that were student managers that have kids that are student managers. Remember, Larry Hoyt and his kid James is up there now. I've been in the Heavener Center. What an amazing facility. I didn't really know you could have that kind of amazing football equipment room, but that facility is phenomenal. I mean, we were in the south end zone, as you know, back then. It was it was not the greatest facility in the world, but yeah, so I get I'm fortunate that I can get over to those games and watch those kids compete. But they've got a good crew over there for sure.
Yeah, they do. Eric wants to know too much on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mela. How improved are the Florida Gators golf team, and is their goal for the national championship? Their goal is always the national title. We were in the semifinals this year, and they have a chance to have a better team next year, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, they got some good freshmen coming in. They've JC and Dudley recruit extraordinarily well. Again, given the circumstances that we've got to deal with from a facility standpoint, right? But the golf course itself is a phenomenal golf course. They've got everything they need there to develop kids, to be honest, right? I think they've got another kid from New Zealand coming in, Josh. Honestly, he was really close to qualifying for the U.S. Open. Their goal is not going to change, right? They want to win the SEC championship, and they want to get to the national finals and compete and get to match play, and then anything can happen in match play. So, yep. I mean, if you talk to JC, Shane, I mean, he'll tell you he loves the SEC tournament. He thinks it's his favorite tournament of the year, even above nationals. and especially with Oklahoma and Texas in there, it's ultra competitive there. And they got it at Sea Island. It's a great facility and location to have that tournament. It's an awesome place.
David says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, my bud Tim here in downtown has a prized possession, which is a letter of reprimand from the SEC commissioner admonishing him from deflating balls back in the day. You guys threw the ball boy under the bus.
Yeah, well, so somebody's got to take the blame for it. I'll be willing to take the blame.
Yeah.
Hey,
before I let you go, I do want to, I'm a big proponent of walk-ons. Some of my favorite best friends are walk-ons. They're trying to get rid of that. But you're a close friend of mine and you are a student manager. I think people don't really appreciate what you guys do. Real quick, just tell us like the hours a student manager has to put in to help a football team.
Crazy number of hours. Yeah, especially in the fall. We would be there. Honestly, we'd be down there every single day. 7 days a week, right? We'd be down there. You've got to deal with laundry equipment, practices. Mondays were just long days back then because we used to have Monday Night Football, if you remember, right? And literally, we would. I think somebody was kind of looking at the numbers long ago, and I think in the fall we would spend about 70 hours plus down there a week in the equipment room. So that didn't count travel to road games, right? We would leave out Thursday night in that van, as you know, in a big Ryder truck, and we'd be driving all night long, 2, 3 in the morning to get there. We'd get in there and set up and then go sleep for a little while, but and then have to drive all the way back. So yeah, it's those kids, and even today they work long hours. And look, it was back then we got room and board. We lived in Yon for a little while until they let us get out of there finally. But yeah, it was challenging for sure. So, but it was fun also. It was good. Met a ton of good people, as you know. So still lifelong friends.
Yep. All right, last one here. Text on the Titan and Mark text. I don't know who it's from. Says, what is the best course to play in a 60-mile radius of Gainesville? I would say Adena and Golden Ocala, but 60 miles. Does that take you up into Jacksonville or no?
It's close. It'll be on the edge. Maybe 60 miles. Maybe get you to Timaquana. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. That was yeah. So just if you're just looking in the general radius, not counting Jacksonville, it's Adena and Golden.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's it. No doubt about it. Greg, appreciate your time. We'll try to get a lot of people to head to GatorGolfBoosters.com and do what they can do to help out JC Deacon and his squad because they got a phenomenal program and somehow compete at a high level. Great coaching, great players. Not a great facility, as we know, compared to other teams, but it's great for what it's worth. But we appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, man, all good. I'll catch up with you. So I know you're gonna miss our golf game on 4th of July weekend here, but I'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks.
All right, that's Greg Williams, president. He's the president of Gator Golf Boosters, and we appreciate him joining us on the Titan and More Hotline. The Pouncey Twins provide all of Gator Nation with the highest quality liqueurs made by J.F. Hayden Craft Liqueurs. Find your favorite flavors at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Appreciate everybody joining us. Thanks to Buddy and Greg for joining us. I know people don't like to talk golf, but it's one of those programs that is outstanding here, but needs more support. And it's an easy way for you to support them is just to go to GatorGolfBoosters.com. Really good golf team, great coaches, fun group to be around. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.